Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. And in surveillance news, our next surveillance nightmare might be M&Ms. The candy. I'm not kidding. This was interesting, and I thought this would be a rather amusing one to do, albeit a bit terrifying to see where technology is going, especially on the candy front. M&Ms. I mean, who thought, aside from being in the culture wars for apparently turning like one of the M&Ms female, then not, or something like that, here we are. So with that, let's talk about an article from Ars Technica by Ashley Bellinger, who wrote on this. And I think this is actually interesting, amusing, and somewhat terrifying. I think I'm not going to look at vending machines the same way, especially the modern ones. And here's what's going on. The University of Waterloo, that's the Waterloo in Canada, not in Belgium, where Napoleon basically met his fate, they're removing M&M branded smart vending machines from their campus after students discovered that the machines were covertly collecting facial recognition data without their consent. Really? Really? Now, the scandal started when a student using the alias SquidKid47 posted an image on Reddit showing a vending machine on the campus with an error message that said, quote, invinda.vending.facialrecognitionapp.exe. That's obviously a launchable executable in Windows, and that was displayed on the machine after it failed to launch, obviously a facial recognition application that nobody really expected to be part of the vending machine. So, Mr. SquidKid47 pondered, quote, hey, why do the stupid M&M machines have facial recognition? Very valid question, Mr. Squid. Now, the Reddit post sparked an investigation from a student named River Stanley, who was writing for the university's publication known as Math News. I'm guessing they've got a pretty decent math department. Now, Stanley sounded the alarm after consulting Invenda sales brochures that promised, quote, the machines are capable of sending estimated ages and genders, end quote, of every person who used the machine without requesting consent, meaning you didn't know it was there, but it understands roughly your age and your gender. I'm a male, 18 years old. We'll just say I'm 18. Now, Stanley's report ended with a call for students to demand the university to, quote, bar facial recognition vending machines from campus, end quote. And Mr. Stanley, I would say, yeah, let's ban them everywhere. Why stop at the University of Waterloo? Now, a spokesperson for the university, Rebecca Elming, eventually responded, confirming to CTV News, that's up in Canada, that the school had asked to disable the vending machine software until the machines could be removed. Students talking to CTV News also said that their confidence in the university's administration was shaken by the controversy. Now, I find that to be a rather interesting position to take, only in the sense that, do we know if the administration even knew this was happening? You know, if they did, then sure, but without confirmation, I guess I would wait for that information as opposed to jumping to a conclusion. But hey, I guess I'm not 18 anymore. Now, some students claimed on Reddit that they attempted to cover the vending machine cameras while waiting for the school to respond using gum, post-it notes, etc., etc. I'm all for that as well, technically, even though it's kind of defacement. Now, one student pondered whether, quote, there are other places this technology could be used, end quote, on campus. And sure, why not? If the campus has cameras, you know, for security purposes, it'd be a very interesting question to ask the administration. Now, here's the interesting response, though, from the vending machine companies. So, Math News, that's the publication at the University of Waterloo, their investigation tracked down responses from companies responsible for smart vending machines on their campus. So, Adira Vending Services, and we'll get to them in a second, told Math News that, quote, what's most important to understand is that the machines do not take or store any photos or images, and an individual person cannot be identified using the technology in the machines. The technology acts as a motion sensor that detects faces so the machine knows when to activate the purchasing interface, never taking or storing images of customers, end quote. Now, according to Adara and Invenda, the maker of the machine, students should not worry about data privacy because the vending machines are quote-unquote fully compliant with the GDPR. That's out of the EU, or General Data Protection Regulation, which is, for the record, a very stringent standard to meet. Now, quote, these machines are fully GDPR compliant and are in use in many facilities across North America, again, according to Adaria. Now, The university, and I quote again, at the University of Waterloo, Adaria manages the last mile fulfillment services. We handle restocking and logistics for the snack vending machines. Adaria does not collect any data about its users and does not have any access to identify users of these M&M vending machines. End quote. Now, under the GDPR, face image data is considered among the most sensitive because it's biometric, and so it usually requires explicit consent to collect. Canada has very similar laws. Just like here in the state of Illinois, we have the Biometric Information Privacy Act. So if I find an M&M machine, I can possibly say, hey, I was never told that, hey, I would be on facial recognition and I never consented to that. Therefore, they are violating the law. So it's unclear for the record how the machines may meet that bar that essentially is for Canada and the GDPR. Because, it needs consent. Even if it's not taking a picture of you, if it's mapping your face or recognizing your face, that's an issue. Now, according to the press release from Invenda, the maker of M&M candies Mars was a key part of Invenda's expansion into North America. It was only after, closing $7 million in funding that basically, including deals with Mars and other major clients like Coca-Cola, that Invenda could push for expansive global growth that seemingly basically expanded their smart vending machines for essentially things like data and surveillance opportunities as well. Meaning, as they grew the brand, as they put these smart machines everywhere, obviously not just on one campus in Canada, obviously wherever they are, they can collect information. Quote, the funding round indicates confidence among Invenda's core investors in both Invenda's corporate culture with its commitment to transparency and drive to expand global growth. That's according to Invenda's press release. But University of Waterloo students, like Stanley, that question the commitment to transparency, seems that basically they are openly violating Canadian privacy law, and that's according to them talking to CTV News up in Canada. Now, if this is still taking an understanding that it is your face and it recognizes, hey, that it can identify essentially that I'm a male, again, in my late teens, that's an obvious problem in the sense that even though it may not be mapping my face, it has the ability to. And on top of it, we have consent laws in many places around the world. The entire EU essentially adheres to GDPR. Canada has their own very similar style GDPR. Here in, again, Illinois, California, and other states, we have these laws as well. And so by virtue of that, this should basically be saying consent. So maybe it recognizes like a standard motion detector that you would have in your home that doesn't understand what is moving, but it just understands that something is moving there, could easily have been used to say, oh, something's moving here. Maybe I'd light up and say, hey, welcome to the M&M vending machine, as opposed to launching something that actually recognizes a face with an actual camera. Why do they need this information? And I think this is an important one to ask. And so I think the Mars Corporation needs to understand this. Now, I think personally that Mars, Coca-Cola, et cetera, know this. This is my personal opinion because they want to understand the demographics that are essentially using, their products or buying their products. On a college campus, you're going to get people, let's say, ages 18 to 22 on average. But is it mostly male? Is it mostly female? Can it identify race? Am I a white guy? Am I a black guy? Like, what am I? If it can do that as well, it's giving them more telemetry, more targeted marketing opportunities to say, okay, it looks like on average it's a 22-year-old white male that's buying M&Ms or an 18-year-old black male that's buying M&Ms. So let's target specific communities in that way. And again, that should be illegal. You should have to have consent. And I think in an age where people are starting to really realize privacy, especially the younger generations, having grown up in a world that wasn't before social media, meaning social media has always been there, cameras have always been there, their parents were taking pictures of them on their iPhones, and now they're in college, I think they might be starting to realize this ain't good. And we've really overcorrected here on the data correction, the data collection side. So we really need to start overcorrecting on the privacy side now. And I think that's a huge thing. But M&Ms, never would have thought it. Interesting article. So Ashley Bellinger of ours, thank you very much for writing that. But wow, M&M, who knew? You're surveilling us. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And for the record, we're all in their facial recognition databases anyway, regardless of the law. So take that for what it's worth. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, just please attempt to stay private, especially when you're in front of an M&M vending machine of all things. Take care.